Leta because they're equal in number of expansions. So the Terran player with two expansions versus the Protoss player with 2 expansions, you would definitely give the lead to the Terran player. And I think Leta, once he really gets his macro going, is just going to be able to churn out masses of units and roll over Kal. And Kal, I think it's the incentive is there for Kal, or rather the impetus is on. It's for Kal to take the impetus, and the pressure is on him to produce something special here, and to produce something and put the pressure on Leta, and not just allow the game to drift along, because that's really not going to work in his favor. Armory obviously up for Leta as well. So Kal, the one advantage that he does have is that he did have his Templar archives up fairly early on in the game, so he's only now starting to produce High Templar. Meanwhile, Leta's got the starport up, and looks like Kal is going to be persistent in terms of his harassment. He's got a Zealot and 3 High Templar loaded up in that shuttle, so he's going to try and get a drop off and do some damage to his opponent's economy. And if he can do that, that's exactly what he needs to do. He needs to get some effective storms going. It's a question of how well Leta will be able to defend against it. So Leta does have good positioning. He's got a turret behind his mineral line, so he's positioned well for it, and he should be comfortable. It just depends on how awake he is, and we're going to see how well he responds to it. I certainly think the fact that he's won 6-0 in his previous games probably suggests that he's going to be comfortable coping with the floating engineering bay, giving him the line of sight against the shuttle. So great anticipation and positioning by Leta. Kal putting his 4th and 5th gateway down. Leta's also got a couple of Goliaths in his main as well in anticipation of drops. So Kal really not being very effective. His DT drop did a decent amount of damage to Leta, but then he wasted that by allowing his Leta's vultures to run into his own base and inflict that damage right back against him. And Leta, with a very well-placed spider mine behind the mineral line off the 3 o'clock expo, is seeing those probes move down towards that expansion at the 5 o'clock position. So Leta's going to be aware that Kal is putting an expansion at the 5 o'clock position. Unfortunately for Kal, he didn't scout that spider mine out with the observers. He didn't spot it when he was clearing the spider mines from his base. So Leta, with some clever positioning of that spider mine, is getting valuable tactical information on his opponent. Another gateway being built. Meanwhile, Kal has got that expansion at the 5 o'clock position up and running. He still hasn't been able to get that storm drop off, though. I suppose it's better to conserve than to lose out against him. And Leta, meanwhile, has set up a turret at the 11 o'clock position to try and set up an expansion there. So both players seem very standoffish right now after an early exchange and frantic opening. Both players taking relatively defensive postures and choosing to macro up slowly. I still feel that probably favors Leta more, although Kal now has got that expansion, 5 o'clock expansion running. The longer that stays up, the more he's going to come back into the game. So at this point, really, it's even Stevens between these two players. It's impossible to predict one way or the other who has an advantage over the other player. Leta now sending out a couple of Goliaths just to reclaim that expansion towards the north of his base at the 11 o'clock position. Kal trying to take advantage of that, try and sneak a drop in with the shuttle. But Leta's force is well positioned, repelling Kal's advances at every opportunity. Kal continued to build up his ground force, and really, we might very well have one of those games where the players build up leading up to one big battle, and whoever wins that is then ahead. Leta looks like he might be now ready to make his push. He's got a decent sized ground force up and running. He should have a science vessel out pretty soon, and perhaps that's what he's waiting for. He's got double armories as well, researching away, and the fact that he did have that expansion up quite early on is obviously going to play in his hand. Meanwhile, Stargate going up for Kal, I would guess that's probably for Arbiters. We would probably see an Arbiters Tribunal somewhere else in his base going up soon. Kal seems to have control of the middle half of the map right now. He seems to be controlling that just across that river. Leta now picking off another observer of Kal's, and looks like we're going to have finally that big battle. Leta does have the higher ground though. Kal trying to traverse across, and Leta has decided to just slowly push out. He's not really making the sort of concerted push. He's content to macro up. He feels he's ahead, so he's content to macro up and gradually take ground and slowly swallow up the territory as he continues his push forward in this game. And he's basically saying to Kal that he's the one who needs to break him. And I would probably agree. Kal has got that Arbiters Tribunal up. So Kal checking out, he's walled off the expansion at the 6 o'clock position, checking out the 12 o'clock expansion, maneuvering his forces around the north towards the 11 o'clock expansion again. Is he going to try and effect a pincer attack or some sort of attack from the rear? He is coming up that ramp, coming up behind Kal's forces from the rear, but Leta is ready. Unfortunately, Leta, he doesn't have most of his shuttles there. Most of his spider mines are just to the south of that ramp, and Kal has managed to close in on those siege tanks. So first blood to Kal, he's going to be able to take this. Storms all over the siege tanks. He managed to catch most of the siege tanks as well as the vultures, but his spread out siege tanks just about hold his defense. Golan chasing that shuttle away. So Kal almost taking that attack, almost decimating Leta's forces, but he had reinforcements arrive just in time, managed to get a few more siege tanks down, and Kal unfortunately ran out of units to break that defense that Leta had set up just above the ramp. Leta continuing to be confident. It looks like it's Leta's turn to counterpunch a little bit. And unfortunately for Cal, he's found about 7 or 8 Dragoons caught on the hill, above the hill, not able to escape, trying to get through. He only managed to save 3 of his Dragoons, and that could prove very costly for Cal indeed. He lost about 4 or 5 Dragoons there without really inflicting any, and it looks like he might almost lose another shuttle. 1 hit left for that shuttle to take before it would have gone down. Just barely surviving, and that was critical because I think it had 2 or 3 High Templar in it. Meanwhile, Cal starting up his expansion at the 6 o'clock position. Leta has secured his half of the map, it would seem, across the river. He's secured the left half of the map, the western half of the map, and he should be free to expand at the 11 o'clock position now that he's secured that, and I think he'll be feeling quite comfortable. But Cal does have a chance here. He's got that 6 o'clock expansion up and running. His 5 o'clock expansion has been uncontested, so both players in good position, though I do think that losing those Dragoons, those extra Dragoons, has hurt Cal. Cal again trying to make a push, trying to break that, realizing that he can't just allow Leta to have all that half of the map to play at will. Otherwise he would find himself in a little bit of spot bother, and dropping a couple of Zealots up at the 12 o'clock expansion. My guess is just to go and harass that 11 o'clock expansion again with it. He could have probably maybe dropped a DT or I suppose they're too expensive for him to make right now. Leta will have seen these Zealots coming. They're not really going to do too much bar maybe get those SCVs pulled off the line or force Leta to commit some forces to it. Meanwhile, it looks like Leta has managed to push right up to Cal's Natural Expo. He's managed to get his siege within range of that Natural Expo using the cliff of his side of the map to maximum advantage. He doesn't have a Goliath position down there with his forces though, so Cal is able to get a drop in. Loads of spider mines in between, and Cal using the Zealot to lure those spider mines into siege tank and using the Arbiter to try and bring his goons in range, unable to break that. So Leta really using the map structure to maximum advantage, has positioned his tanks and has positioned an attack just behind the cliffs next to almost within shelling range of the mineral line of Cal's Natural Expo, but Cal now manages to take that out with a couple of... I'm surprised that Leta didn't have a Goliath there to fend off those shuttles, because he would have been in a much stronger position to hold that. If he had got even a single Goliath there would have done the trick for him. Arbiter obviously out for Cal for a little bit of time now, again trying to push across that river and try and break Leta's blockade, but those spider mines keeping him at bay. Leta continued to replenish the spider mines as Cal takes them down. And we are seeing a jockeying for position between these two players here. Cal almost lost position to Leta, but Leta's got a lot of siege tanks up there and spider mines all over the place as well as turrets, making it very difficult for Cal to break across, and Leta's just in full out macro mode. He's got that expansion at the 11 o'clock position up and running as well. Cal obviously still ahead on the 1 expansion because of that expansion of the 6 o'clock position, but I think Leta probably feeling confident and comfortable right now, but it's still anyone's game. It's still possible for either of these players to come out on top. One great move, one special attack will change the course of this game, and those siege tanks, you could see that from the damage in that photon cannon, those siege tanks were in line. Stasis field from Leta. Unfortunately for him, there's a lot of spread on those siege tanks, and I'm not sure if he's going to be able to break, because there are a lot of siege tanks there. He's going to take some of them out. He's managed to get his Dragoons up the ramp. He's also managed to clear out the spider mines, and Leta doesn't look like he's got reinforcements coming in, and those storms have made the difference. It looks like Cal is going to actually break through Leta's defenses here. Cal crucially breaking through, taking the river, and now he's going to be able to assault Leta's base at the 12 o'clock position. Leta's got spider mines in the waiting though. Cal still has a large Dragoon force. He's got more reinforcements arriving. He's got another Arbiter arriving, and Cal's got most of his army alive. Leta in a little bit of trouble. He's got a science vessel sitting in his main, not doing much right now. Leta immediately trying to establish some sort of a beachhead up on that ramp, trying to establish some sort of a defense, some sort of a position to hold from. Another great storm from Cal on those vultures. Another storm catching most of the vultures in it. Cal manages to pull the vultures. Leta managed to pull the vultures out just in time. He's going to lose another siege tank though, and Cal looks like, and Leta seems to have just taken that position up the ramp. I think Cal could have probably circumnavigated the map around the top of the map, around the north edge of the map, and gone for that expansion of the 11 o'clock position and forced Leta to come and defend it. I don't know why he didn't do that. I think that was his opportunity to do that, but he obviously didn't want to get countered. So he's pulled back. He has Leta is once again, but Leta's going to be able to use that ramp that he managed to just about hold to his advantage to push forward again and retake that ridge. But he's going to have to rebuild the defense. So we're almost seeing the two players nullifying each other's movements. Cal with an excellent attack just about broke through, but before he could really take advantage, Leta came back and has re-established some sort of a perimeter, some sort of a defensive perimeter, though it's further back than his previous one. It still leaves the 12 o'clock expansion vulnerable to Cal. Cal once again coming in, another excellent stasis. What he doesn't have this time though to help him out is the storms, and this time Leta's got a lot more vultures in place to defend. Leta coming in with the High Templar, not really able to get in range for the storms. The High Templar not able to get a single storm off. Unfortunate for Cal. Micros really let him down there. The High Templar just moving forward and not storming, just standing there. Maybe they don't have energy, but Cal pushing those High Templar forward, continuing to. He's got about 4 High Templar there. Now he's got Zealots coming in. Looks like